To the Pick and Pay Winemakers Table. Normally, we just have one winemaker in our studio, but today we've got three because it is a celebration of Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir Day, what, the 18th of August in a couple of days' time? Fantastic. So I'm here with three incredible people from one valley, from the Elgin Valley, something very, very special. I'm here with Jacques from Oak Valley, Jacqui from Iona, and Paul Clüver from Paul Clüver. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have an incredible evening. We're going to taste three wines, obviously all Pinot Noir. We're going to taste the differences, understand a little bit more about Pinot Noir, the incredible varietal, obviously a little bit more about the Elgin Valley, and we're going to make three beautiful little canapes, which are hopefully going to pair beautifully with that too. So thank you very much for joining us. You'll see that you've been delivered some boxes that are from Pick and Pay Online. They very kindly delivered that to you with three of your wines, as well as all the ingredients to make these three great canapes. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, I think really it is, as we said, it's a celebration of Pinot Noir. And these fantastic people with us today are really just going to talk a little bit more about the wine farms, a little bit more about Pinot Noir, educate us on what an incredible varietal this is. And we're going to taste and eat some beautiful food. So thank you very much for having us here today.
Thanks, Jono.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Nice to
John.
be here.
We're going to start off one by one. So we're going to start off with Jacques from Oak Valley, and then we're going to move on through all of our incredible chaps here, and we'll learn a little bit more. So over to you, Jacques. You want to speak a little bit more about Iona?
It's fine.
I mean, you could speak about Iona.
It's very true. It's
Yeah.
very, very true.
Yeah.
I think that's a special thing about Elgin. It's really it's a lot of collaboration, and there's no such thing as an enemy in the valley. It's all of us trying to lift the reputation of the valley as a whole. But yeah, Oak Valley is, along with Paul Clüver as well, one of the oldest farms in Elgin. So one of the pioneering farms that really started agriculture in Elgin.
Yeah.
And back in those days, I'm talking Oak Valley started in 1898. So back in those days, people thought we were crazy to start farming in this cold and windy and wet place. But yeah, the founder saw the potential, and from the beginning, as you know, Elgin is very much an apple growing region. But we started planting our vines in the early 1900s already. But from a winemaking point of view, I think Elgin is still considered one of the youngest wine regions, but it's serious potential. Where Chardonnay tends to grow well, Pinot also grows well, and I think Elgin Chardonnays are at a very good place at the moment. And Oak Valley as a brand has only been around for about 20 years now.
Okay.
But where we are today is very much on a place where we focus on Chardonnay and Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
And it's just very nice to be telling people about the different Pinot Noirs that we make, and especially this one that we're featuring tonight with some food. It could be really exciting.
No, it definitely will be exciting, and exactly what you're saying. And I think that's quite interesting. Like, you really focus on what area really produces the best grapes, and obviously from an Elgin Valley perspective, it really is very focused on Pinot Noir and Chardonnay.
Yeah, no, I mean our climate and our soil is just perfect for the grape. It's South Africa's coolest wine region.
Yeah.
So we've got this very unique interplay of very cool days, very cool nights as well. We've got a lot of cloudy conditions in the valley.
Yes.
We've got more rainfall compared to the rest of the growing regions. So when you're farming with Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, which are early ripening grapes, that's just fantastic because it stretches out your growing season. So everything happens a little bit slower.
Yeah.
We harvest a little bit later. So we've got this purity of fruit, very good natural acidity.
Yes.
And when it comes to then pairing that with food, that's really exciting. But yeah, I think Pinot Noir as a grape, we're still just scratching the surface, and it's very much it's exciting to be focusing on it. And I think the next few years will be very exciting to see the wines coming out of Elgin.
Yeah, 100%. I am. And honestly, Elgin is really one of my favorite destinations to go to. So many incredible wines, great restaurants. You really do have to go if you haven't been. But what we're going to do, I mean, obviously we've got three really great Pinot Noirs, and, farms that really do celebrate the Pinot Noir. So it's going to be so interesting for you guys at home to really taste the differences, see what kind of winemaking skills and techniques are being used to kind of differentiate them on. They obviously are all 100% Pinot Noir. There hasn't been any blending involved. They are exactly what it is. So you'll really be able to taste that grape and really understand the delicate, lighter, it's more acidic kind of nuances of a Pinot Noir.
Well, I think especially in this pairing, I think it's spot on. The Pinots from Elgin tends to have a very good natural acidity from that cool climate. And I think also this interesting sort of more greener vegetal edge. So I think paired with something like beetroot, it's gonna be really, really interesting.
Good.
And I think yeah, with Pinot Noir, it's such a versatile wine to be pairing with food. And as long as you don't go too bold on your food, I think it tends to really work well. And so I'm really excited. I think it's going to be very, very cool to taste.
Fantastic. Do you want to just grab your bottle? So this is obviously the Pinot Noir from the Sounds of Silence Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
Part of that range. And yeah, as I said, one of my favorites. So do you want to just pour a little bit so we can actually probably see the color? Because this is probably one of the big differentiators what people quite obviously would know about a Pinot Noir, is that the color is slightly a little lighter, isn't it?
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's a very delicate grape varietal. It tends to have a little bit less color, a little bit less tannin, beautiful fresh acidity. So you know, I think in the South African climate especially, it's a beautiful wine to drink because you can even have it slightly chilled. It's very, very versatile. And also it's a grape or it's a wine that can really age well too. So you as soon as you put it away for 5 to 10 years, it develops beautiful tertiary notes and some real complexity. But on this wine, our Sounds of Silence specifically, we are focused on really vibrant, fresh fruit. This is about showcasing a wine that's fresh, that's refreshing, a wine that's really pure in terms of its fruit expression. So the way we do that in the winery as well is we always use only about 10% new oak on this wine. So we want that freshness to come through. And we release it nice and young. So this is our 2023 vintage. So it's really crunchy and vibrant, a lot of red fruit, a lot of floral notes. And yeah, you can just really taste that our region,
Definitely,
which is beautiful.
And so, how long would that be put onto the barrel for?
Yeah, so it does spend 9 months in barrels, but like I mentioned, only 10% new barrels.
Got you.
And so that then really emphasizes that purity of fruit and that freshness and that good acidity. So yeah, you can just really taste that red fruit specifically.
Well, that's great. And it really does also lend itself perfectly to pairing. A Pinot Noir is very, very versatile, as Jacques said. And what we're going to do is that we're going to show you a little bit about this as well. So as we go through the canapes, you can open up your boxes and each of those boxes have got a little label on it. And that will basically inform you of what canapé we are going to be doing. So the first one, which we're going to be pairing with the Oak Valley Pinot Noir, is this little beetroot carpaccio. So you'll see you've got 2 little beetroots. Hopefully if you just take that out of the packet and just drain the juice off that. We've got lots of different components which we're going to start building into our dish. So you'll also see you've got these little white plates. So this little white plate is going to be the vessel for our carpaccio. And we're just going to create a beautiful little plate of that. While we're doing this, I just want to let you guys know also that you guys must get all your kitchen equipment ready. You do have a little list in front of you. You do need to get a pan that ready, and that's for the second canapé. And then the third canapé, what we're going to be doing, or the third little dish, is we need to get a pot of boiling water on. So while you're doing all of this, just put a pot of water and bring that up to temperature. So by the time we get to the third canapé, we're all ready for that. Okay. So we're going to start off. All right. We're going to get our beetroot. Now you'll see also inside your packet, you've got a little glove. And that's basically because this beetroot is going to stain your hands if you hold it. So you just need one each like this. And what you'll do is you'll just pick up that beetroot and you won't stain your fingers. Okay. So we'll put that onto the board. Now, generally a carpaccio is obviously everyone knows a beef carpaccio, but this is basically a vegetable carpaccio. It's something that is very similar, and it just basically means thinly sliced. So we'll have this beetroot, and we're just going to do some nice thin little slices, some rounds. Very simple. You can probably do 3 or 4 little rounds if you want to per plate. You've got a beetroot each, and you've got a plate each as well. So it's always, as I've always said about building food, it's all about creating different textures, different flavors, and also trying to balance out any sweetness and some acidity as well. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to place a couple of these rounds of carpaccio, beetroot carpaccio onto the plate. However you'd like to do it, if you want to make it a little bit wider or you want to put them all together, I'm just going to put that just like that. can just show you there. Very, very simple. Nothing too complicated at the moment. Now that you've done that, you can take your little glove off. You don't have any pink fingers. All right. Cool. So now, as we've always said, we're trying to build and create a bit of texture and different flavors. You'll see also that you have got a little piping bag, and this has got some goat's cheese in it. So it's basically just some goat's cheese that we've whipped up. It's got a little bit of garlic into it just to give it a little bit of body. And that is going to be one of the components. So just snip the end off that. Then we've also got some of this, which is some nut praline, crunchy, little bit of sweetness, got some texture as well. So open that up and get that ready. Pop that over there. And then the last little bits and pieces, we've also got some sesame seeds here as well, which is also just going to be the last little component. So we would love to see what's going on. Also, I can see that you guys have got your cameras on. It's really great to see everybody bustling around the kitchen. I do want you to take some photos of your dishes as well, because we'd love to give you the chance of winning 300 Rands worth of smart shopping points. And the way you can do that is by using 2 hashtags. Using the one, obviously, it's hashtag Oak Valley Wines, and the other hashtag P&P Wine Club. If you take photos and you post to social media, you stand a chance of winning 300 Rands worth of smart shopper points. Okay, so I'm going to get you to help me out here. All right.
Yeah. Let's do this.
Okay, so what we're first going to do is on our little plate of beetroot carpaccio, we're going to do some nice little dollops. I'll do this one. So we'll do some nice little dollops around the plate, just up like that. And that just creates a little bit of creaminess. And I think that also when we're talking about the acidity of that Pinot Noir, Jacques, what do you reckon a creaminess, how that would work?
No, that's fine. I think like I mentioned, the Elgin specifically has this great natural acidity, so it can stand up to, it'll cut through that cream. And I think especially when we get to the goat's cheese as well, it's gonna be just lovely to see that combination. So I think you've nailed it.
Great. We've got a question that's coming up. What is the perfect temperature to serve Pinot Noir? Very good question.
Yeah, I think, people like to think that that red wine should be drunk at room temperature. I think with Pinot Noir, you have to be really careful. South Africa tends to get quite hot in summer, so I would suggest to chill a Pinot Noir slightly. But not to chill it too much. So if you put it in the fridge for maybe 15 to 20 minutes, just to get it to around 11, 12 degrees Celsius, then I think that'll be very good. I think a fridge is about 6 degrees Celsius, so that would be too cold. But if you can serve it at 11 or 12 degrees Celsius, that'll be very nice, and it'll be very refreshing at the same time. A warm Pinot tends to get a little bit too aromatic.
Okay, good stuff. All right, so now there's your chance as well. So we've got this nice little praline inside here, and literally this praline is just using some sugar. We've cooked that down. We've added a little bit of sesame seeds, some nuts, and we've just let it set and broken it up. So that's going to add a little bit of crunch, and it's also going to add a little bit of sweetness, which kind of contrasts a lot with various different flavors. Lovely. That's it. Good little scatter on the top. All right. And then I think the second last thing is this, which is our tiny little piping bag, and that is of some balsamic vinegar. So it's a reduced balsamic vinegar, so it doesn't have that astringency to it, but then it also just gives a nice little tartness to it, and you can just drizzle that over the top. Very simple. There we go. And that really, you have combinations that work particularly well. One of them is balsamic vinegar, the other balsamic and beetroot and goat's cheese is like a bit of an amazing, perfect, lovely, looking very good. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is just get these sesame seeds and just sprinkle that on top. All right, so you've got the nice nuttiness of the sesame seeds, creaminess of the goat's cheese, a little bit of tartness here and there from the beetroot. And you've got yourself a really nice little canapé. This could be done on a much larger scale if you want to. Have a dinner party, you can lay out a big platter, and you can serve this with some nice, beautiful little leaves if you'd like to. It's very versatile, and I think it will work quite nicely. All right, so there we go, guys. Please do take a picture. As you said, a chance of winning 300 Rands worth of smart shopper points. Use the hashtag P&P Wine Club, and as well as the hashtag Oak Valley Wines. All right, so it's our time now. We're going to do our pairing. We're going to taste this. I'm going to hand this over to Jacques. There's a little fork there if you want to just use that to taste that. So take guys at home, take a nice big sip of the Pinot Noir. Let it coat your mouth. Understand the kind of the flavors around that. Take a bite of your canapé or your little dish and see how those flavors work. See if it's kind of works well, if anything clashes, but I think that it would work really nicely with the creaminess of that goat cheese.
I think the beauty of a pairing is when neither the food or the wine dominates, and it's sort of, you don't know which one is really dominating, because they're sort of both complementing one another. This dish is beautifully fresh. It's got that beautiful freshness, but then it's got that earthiness coming from the sesame seeds, which I think really amplifies that earthiness of the Pinot Noir. So I think it's really good. Really
good. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed that home as well. We've got 2 other incredible little canapes on your way. We do have another question, which I think this is definitely for you and not for me. Is there a general rule of thumb for aging Pinot Noir, considering it's a lighter bodied wine with lower tannins? This guy knows something. Well, this girl knows something.
Yeah. Look, I think a lot of South African Pinots tend to be a little bit lighter in terms of tannin, but Pinot can also be quite full-bodied, actually.
Okay.
And also when you, especially Pinot Noirs that spend some time in barrels, they do improve over time. So with a wine like this, the idea is to release it nice and fresh. But for example, we also make Pinot Noirs that spend time in more new oak and wines that can age for easily a decade.
Wow.
So it depends on personal preference.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you do like a little bit of complexity and a little bit of tertiary notes and some sort of mushroom flavors to start coming in your showing in your Pinot Noir, then you do need to age it a little bit. So Pinot Noir definitely has the ability to age, and then it gets really interesting with food as well.
I can totally imagine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Jacques. It has been amazing. I wish we could spend another hour with you just talking about various different things about wine, Pinot Noir, and obviously the Valley. Take your little plate with you. You can snack on that too. We're going to introduce our next winemaker. We've got the man himself, Paul Clüver. Dun, 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 as he rushes in onto stage. There we go.
It's like, I can't believe you gave away the food.
What did you do? Thank you, Paul. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you back here in the studio.
It is. Guys, I just have to tell you, he says he loves coming to Elgin. And he promised me the last time we did this, he would come to visit me in Elgin.
And what happened?
It's been a year.
It's been a year. I hang my head in shame. I have hang my head in shame.
But it's good to be back.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to obviously try your wines, chat a little bit more about your understanding and your world in Elgin Valley. Obviously, quite a rich history within the Elgin Valley as well for Paul Clüver.
Yeah, it's as Jacques said, it's wonderful to do this with Oak Valley and Iona.
Yeah, it really is.
I always quote Anthony, who's the owner of Oak Valley Wines, who says we've been neighbors. I think it's now for 130 years. The Clüver and the Yuns. So they've been there since 1898, and we've been there since 1896. And he said we haven't had a war yet, which is a good thing, right?
I know.
No, so it's wonderful. I think there's a lovely collaborative notion amongst the wine producers. In Elgin.
And I think that's something that I've definitely noticed, especially with the three of you here. You expect everybody to be kind of, oh, this is my competitor. But I mean, you guys are almost best friends there.
Yeah.
Neighbors.
And the reality is, I mean, we love drinking each other's wines. Is we don't eat the same dish every single day.
Yeah.
And in the same way, we don't drink the same wine every single day. 100%. And the wonderful thing is to try each other's wines, enjoy it. If I were you guys doing these different dishes, is don't stick with a single wine. You can chop and change and say, which of the 3 wines did you like the best with a single dish? And you can maybe post that for us later on. But
that's a great idea. Definitely.
I would definitely do that. And for me, and what Jacques also said is seeing how versatile Pinot Noir as a wine is. I think it's the best food wine you can possibly get, mainly because of its greater acidity.
Yes.
It goes well with especially things that has a little bit of fattiness to it.
Sure.
So if you imagine lamb chops, we about to do National Braai Day next month. casserole dishes, coq au vin, all of these things
100%.
does exceptionally well with Pinot. And then, as you did with cheese, that acidity just lifts it and breaks through it and does wonders.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about as well. You got to try different things. And as Paul was saying, try the wines with the different dishes as well. Try to get work out what works well with you as well. But certainly try different dishes. As you said, Pinot Noir is so versatile. It really, and that's also the thing. I mean, you really can be eating a really great light fish dish with this. It would work really nicely. So yeah, give it a go. Try out things. We obviously are giving you some ideas, but it really is up to you to try whatever you'd like. So this is obviously the Pinot Noir. You do quite a few different Pinot Noirs, don't you?
We do 3 in total.
Okay.
And like Oak Valley, the only red wine we make.
It's only Pinot Noir.
We don't do any other red wine.
Yes.
It came back actually in the early 2000s. Our winemaker was lucky enough to do an internship at one of the greatest wineries in the world, Chateau Margaux. And the president of Chateau Margaux came to South Africa, and we said, this is a fantastic opportunity. He's going to help us make the perfect Bordeaux blend, like most South African red wines. Like if you go to Stellenbosch, you get the state blend, and it's fantastic. And long story short, he tasted through all the wines, and he turned around to me and said, why do you want to make a Bordeaux blend if the best red wine in your cellar is Pinot Noir? And it speaks to, I think, the what the valley can offer. And Jacques mentioned it. We're a cool climate area, which means you get this prolonged ripening.
Yes.
And it means that Pinot Noir actually ripens at the perfect time in Elgin. I mean, the other great valley for Pinot Noir in South Africa is the Hillman Arder Valley, and we love those guys down there, and we work well with them. And I think the reality is, and especially the fact that we're moving on Sunday, International Pinot Noir Day.
100%.
I would say encourage people drink Pinot Noir. It's just this amazing wine that we should be enjoying.
Yeah, 100%. And so when we were talking about obviously Bordeaux blends and stuff, Pinot Noir, Burgundy. Burgundy, that's where it kind of originated. It's a similar thing. And I think the interesting thing what you were saying also is about this prolonged ripening. And is that because the Pinot Noir grape is quite delicate and it needs to have a cool climate to kind of grow because it's quite delicate? Or is it because it just doesn't stand up to heat?
It hates heat.
Hates heat.
It is, and delicate is a wonderful way to describe it. It's often referred to as the heartbreak grape.
Okay.
For many, many reasons, but it's difficult to grow, and it doesn't want extreme weather conditions.
Okay.
Not too cold, not too warm.
hot.
It wants it to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, if you think of Goldilocks, it's like doesn't want it too hot, too cold. It's got to be perfect.
Got to be
right?
perfect.
And when you find those regions in the world, you end up growing and ripening a grape. That gives you this absolute beauty. And it's not about being in your face. It's not about being bold and structured. It's about this elegance and balance.
And quite complex as well.
100%.
I think a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm looking at a wine that's quite light in color. It must just be light in flavor. But a Pinot Noir is something completely different. It is very complex.
Definitely. And your point about Burgundy, Pinot Noir dates back over 1,000 years. It's one of the oldest grape varietals that we know in the world. Much older than Cab Sauv, for example, which is the father mother of Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc is actually Cabernet Franc and Sauvignon Blanc, right?
There you go.
Which most people would be weird. It's a white grape and much younger than Pinot Noir, and it's this just absolutely incredible varietal. And if you can nurture it in the vineyards and bring it into bottle, and the winemaker gives its due respect,
absolutely,
you end up getting this amazing product in the bottle.
By
the way, technical questions you've got to ask to Jacqui, right?
We're gonna keep all the light-hearted stuff now.
Exactly. She's the Cape Wine Master, the absolute expert that's going to be telling us a lot more. So she can tell you any hard questions, and that counts for you guys out there too. Any difficult questions, ask Jacqui. She's laughing in the background there. But true story though. She's the Cape Wine Master, and it's a privilege to also know her and how she's an incredible taster, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just have to bow to her superior knowledge when it comes to actually describing wines and everything. So it's awesome.
Well, we can't wait.
Yeah, yeah.
But keep all the hard questions.
Exactly. Keep it back. Yeah.
All right, good. Okay, perfect. We are also going to be now making one of the second canapé, something which is also, I think, hopefully will work. But we tasted the wine. We understood it kind of where it was from. We picked up various nuances, and I think, paired it in a way that brings out a few of those characteristics. So what the next one is we've got this nice little brioche bun. We've got a nice earthy mushroom, which is being confit. And for people who don't know what confit is, basically what we've done is we've taken that mushroom, we've put some butter into a little bag, a little bit of thyme, a little bit of garlic. We've sealed it up, and we've cooked that in a water bath at a certain temperature for a long period of time. So it takes it cooks at a low temperature. All of those flavors are absorbed, and you end up with a really nice cooked, soft, beautiful mushroom.
Now, can you buy it like that at Pick and Pay, or do you have to like get it from Jono?
You need to get it from me. You need to get it from me. But it's very simple, and I promise you don't need to have a sous vide machine. You literally can get a Ziploc bag, push the air out, put your mushrooms in, or anything that you like, and submerge that in a pot of simmering water. It's that simple.
You've got to tell us later how to do that properly, right? Because
Exactly.
I mean, yes. So buy the mushrooms later on from Pick and Pay, but you put a sous vide it yourself, right?
That's exactly it.
Just check.
Or you can just roast them. They're perfectly just roasted. You literally or braai them. You stick a knob of butter onto a braai.
That's a good idea.
Voila,
right?
you're done. You're done very easily.
Yes.
Okay, so also similar kind of thing. We've got lots of different components here. We've got this little bacon crisp, or we've just used a little bit of copper, which is basically bacon. It's just very, very thinly sliced bacon over there. We've got some of this relish, which we've done a cranberry relish, and that's also just using some frozen cranberries, cooking down some onions, adding a small amount of Szechuan pepper, which is a nice pink pepper. It kind of brings out a little bit of a spiciness, and it gives it a little bit of a zing. Got our butter, which we're going to use to fry or just toast our brioche bun, and we've got a little bit of aioli. Very, very fancy word of saying
garlic mayonnaise.
Garlic mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So have you got your pans on, everybody? I don't want you to get it too hot. I just want to get it. Mine's probably going to be smoking hot by now.
Yeah.
Going to turn that down. You just want to get it to a medium heat. Okay. And while we're doing that and we're letting mine cool down, we've got a question. Is Pinot a single varietal or a blend?
No, that's an easy one.
It is an easy one.
Single varietal.
It is a single varietal.
Yeah.
We did chat a little bit about this earlier, and there are some folk in America, very frowned upon, that do add various different varietals to their Pinot Noir and still are able to call it a Pinot Noir, but in South Africa, you don't really do that.
No, so on that question, we should probably say that you can make any wine and call it a single varietal as long as it's 85% of that varietal.
Got you.
Right.
Got you.
So that's the law in South Africa. But you wouldn't find, generally speaking, I think Pinot Noir producers tend to be purists.
Yeah.
Which means they don't like blending other things into their wine, because and especially if you go to the heartland of Pinot Noir, which is Burgundy, it's very much about that single vineyard. And that single vineyard going into that bottle.
Yeah.
And that there wouldn't be anything else to put into it. So Pinot Noir, and the Burgundians would especially say to you, Pinot Noir is a reflection of their terroir, of their sense of place.
Yes.
That's it. And that's the same thing here about Oak Valley, Iona, Paul Clüver, is that you are seeing the reflection of the different pockets in Elgin expressed by this varietal.
Yeah.
While I think you can still see the identity of Pinot Noir, you see a little bit of nuances and changes, which is absolutely amazing.
It is amazing, and that comes down to the angle of the slope. It comes down to the height. It comes down to whatever the soil is.
So, for example, Oak Valley and Paul Clüver right next to each other. The northern part of the Elgin Valley. Iona is in the southern part. Closest to the ocean of any producer in Elgin, and probably the coolest site in Elgin. So you get a different expression from Iona as well. Question about Pinotage is Pinotage is Pinot Noir is one of the parents of Pinotage, is the answer. That Professor Purald from Stellenbosch University actually loved Pinot Noir, and the traditional wine growing regions in South Africa tends to be a lot warmer. And he said, what can I do to crossbreed something that will give me the nuances of Pinot Noir, but will be able to stand up to the heat?
Yes.
And he took the grape varietal Cinsault, which is also called Hermitage. So the one parent was Hermitage, the other parent was Pinot Noir, hence
And they had a baby.
Yeah, they had a baby, and they used each other's names and called it Pinotage. Exactly.
Cool. What we're going to do is, I hope that everyone's pan now is looking probably at a medium heat. We're going to add our butter just to give that a little bit of toasting. We're going to do two things here. We're going to put our brioche bun to give that a little bit of a toasting on that butter, and we also going to put our mushrooms in as well with a little bit of butter. So that's going to heat up the mushroom, and it's also going to toast the buns. There we go.
And everything is better with butter.
Everything is better with butter. You absolutely nailed that.
Yeah.
Okay. Pop that in, get that to a nice temperature. I'm going to put both of those in mine. All right. And that really is just about heating it up, getting a nice little toast on it. Okay. And then, as I said, there's just three other really nice components. This, which is our crispy bacon. You can literally get any cured meat or bacon. And what we've done is we've literally put this into the oven at about 60 degrees for about 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours, and it becomes really nice and crispy. If you do have a dehydrator, they work perfectly as well. Okay. So we're just turning this in our pan, just heating up that mushroom and giving the brioche a little bit of a toasting. That's perfect.
It's starting to smell delicious.
Yeah. So do you think, like when we tasted the Pinot Noir,
yeah,
we found that there were some kind of earthy notes, something quite like grounded and almost foresty about it.
Yeah. And Jacques mentioned early on, as you start, Pinot Noir starts aging, it starts showing a little bit more of the tertiary notes. What you might find here is more primary for the fruit characteristics, which is the strawberries, berries, a little bit of violets, beautiful freshness. But without a doubt, you also get a little bit of this iodine, and the best way for me to describe it is when you bit your tongue or your cheek and you get that blood taste, right? Is you get a little bit of those notes, which when we refer to our irony characteristic in the wine, and that often gives you also a lovely bridge into when you're having different meat dishes, which is absolutely amazing.
Exactly. And so this, as you said, this is why the Pinot Noir is so versatile. It really is. It's something that you can really use for white meats. It's something you can use for vegetables. Certainly with fatty meats, it works particularly well.
100%.
I love and you've recently done something with Jan Braai as well, where you cooked probably a lot of what was it?
Well, he did a burger, and then he did a potjie course at Oak Valley, which looks absolutely amazing. And once again, it was the three of us, the three wineries together that did a show. So if you go to the Jan Braai Instagram, you'll see the two different recipes, which should be cool. Yeah,
very cool, very cool. So just make sure you've obviously got this pan going. We haven't forgotten about the pot of boiling water, which is going to be for the next one. So you can keep that going. So I've heated up those mushrooms. As I said, you don't need to cook them all the way through, but certainly you want it to be nice and warm. All right. So now we are going to put together, I'm going to use the same little plate or the board. You can just pop that onto the board. You've got your one piece of the bottom of the little brioche bun. And what we'll do is we'll just snip off the end of this aioli. As I said, it's a mayonnaise that we've roasted some garlic. We've mixed that in. It's got a very small hint of garlic on that. We're just going to place it at the bottom. Nice little swirl of that aioli at the bottom. And that just brings out the creaminess. As we said, with a little bit of the acidity of the Pinot Noir, it should work quite nicely together.
Yeah.
There we go. And then all you do is you pop your mushroom right on top. There we go. Perfect little fit there. Turn that off. And now what we'll do is we're going to add a little bit of this cranberry relish. As I said before, it's also got a nice acidity to it. The cranberry isn't too sweet. It just brings out a little bit of the natural fruit flavors and that red berry of the Pinot Noir as well. There we go. And now, as I've always said, it's all about textures. It's all about different contrasting textures, and that's why we've decided to add a little bit of this crispy bacon, which we'll place right on top. There we go. Simply enough. You've also got this little skewer, which will pop the top of that on, and we're just going to skewer that into the top. And there we go.
That looks very professional.
You don't want to
You've done
squash
this
it down
before.
too much either. You want it to have nice height. So when you see it from the side,
Yeah.
you can see it's got a good height. You can see all the ingredients inside it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That looks
stunning.
cool, huh?
Absolutely good.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So I hope, as I said, everyone has done that. We also want people to post to social media. We really want you to win those 300 rands worth of Smart Shopper points. So do use the hashtag PNP Wine Club, and do also use the hashtag Paul Clüver Wines. Very simple. All right. So in the same manner that we did it before, I'm going to hand this over to Paul.
Oh,
There we go. That is
thank
for
you
you.
very much.
Guys at home, take a big sip of your Paul Clüver Pinot Noir.
I'm going to steal your knife.
I'm going to ask you a question once you've finished that in your mouth.
Yes, there was a question about Blauburgunder. I
Yeah.
saw that. And yes, Blauburgunder is Pinot Noir. And the other one is Spätburgunder. Spätburgunder, which is also late. Those are both Pinot Noir. They're just Germany. Interestingly enough, until recently, Germany was the second largest Pinot Noir producer in the world.
Didn't know that.
Just got overtaken by America.
Wow.
America, obviously, Oregon, 85% of Oregon's
yes.
plantings is Pinot Noir. But the amazing thing is, so Burgundy is only Pinot Noir.
Yeah.
The biggest red wine varietal in Germany is Pinot Noir. The biggest red wine varietal in Switzerland is Pinot Noir.
The biggest red wine varietal in Elgin Valley is?
Pinot Noir.
There we go.
So
Yeah.
there we go. And it's the same for New Zealand. So
Oh, wow.
New Zealand is predominantly
Really?
Pinot Noir
That's
for red
fine.
wine. Yeah.
Incredible.
You had
Good.
another question.
No, I did have another question, but please try
Oh.
this at home. I want you to take, as I said, take a big sip. I'm going to pour a little bit of a top up here. And myself, just to really go through that. There are some, it is light. There are some really good fresh berries, fresh fruit, but there's also that underground feeling of the little bit of the savoriness from the mushroom.
That's absolutely stunning. And again, I think the combination, and Jacques mentioned earlier on, is where you get the synergy between the wine and the dish. Absolutely amazing. And what I think is a great pairing is always when you want to go from the one to the other. You just want to keep on going back. Absolutely stunning.
Fantastic. Well, as I said, I hope you tried that. You enjoyed that at home. Do that. Go backward to the wine. Take the little bit of a bite of the brioche bun again, and see if anything changes. See, sometimes the wine might change, the food might taste a little bit of a difference, but hopefully they work in harmony quite nicely. And I think that they do.
But definitely. Thank you so much, Donna.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Remember to ask Jacqui the difficult questions. She's coming. She's come on, Jacqui, come join us.
Come join us. Come join us,
Jacqui. I'm gonna.
There we go, Jacqui. Welcome, Jacqui.
I know. I'm not sure whether I want to clock you over there.
All right, welcome, Jacqui.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. I'm just going to move this out the way so you didn't have that right in front of you. And Paul should have taken that away with him for the snacks. There we go. But thank you very much for coming. And I think, as I said, it's super exciting, and it's really interesting to understand a little bit more about the valley, understand the nuances between the different Pinot Noirs. And I think that, everybody knows Iona. Everybody knows Mr. P. This is exactly. I'll move that out of the way. I was moving it out of the way, but I couldn't move away without talking. But literally, I think that this is an iconic brand.
Thank you.
It's fun. It's exciting. It's got some character. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, sure.
There we go. You use that one.
So this is part of our lifestyle brand. But I think before I tell them about Mr. P, do you mind if I just say a little bit
100%.
about the farm?
Absolutely.
Paul and Jacques have spoken a bit about the Elgin Valley. They're on the northern sort of part of the valley, and Iona is on the most southerly situated vineyard. And we overlook the beaches of Claremont. We're quite high up, right on top of the Kuchelberg. The farm belongs to my sister and her husband, Rosie and Andrew Gunn. You can see them here in the poster. I'm responsible for the national sales, and I'm excited to be here because Pinot Noir is one of my favorite red wines to drink, and I'm hoping that I'm going to entice many more of you to be drinking Pinot by the end of this evening. So then as far as Mr. P is concerned, like the other producers in the valley, we produce more than one Pinot Noir. This is Mr. P. It's our lifestyle brand. It's actually a play on words. If you look at the bottle carefully, it says Mr. P knows for Pinot Noir. So it's a bit of a tongue in cheek. And Rosie, Andrew, and I, we all love Pinot Noir. And one of the problems with Pinot is that it's an extremely expensive bottle of wine to buy if you want a really great Pinot Noir.
Is it?
So it's difficult to get someone to choose Pinot Noir when you're going to be donating. We always say you've got to donate a kidney to buy a really great bottle of Pinot. And on that note, we were talking about Pinot Noir earlier. And Pinot Noir is one of the most expensive wines that you can buy in the world. The most famous brand is probably Romanée-Conti from Burgundy. And there you are paying, on average, almost R500,000.
I didn't know that
for
that was
one
a Pinot
bottle.
Noir.
Yes.
Is that a Pinot Noir?
That's
the
a Pinot
Romanée-Conti?
Noir,
Oh, I
yes.
didn't know that.
So our aim with all of these wines here tonight was to try and encourage people to drink more Pinot Noir, but where you didn't have to donate a kidney to buy a bottle. So these are our lifestyle ranges. They are more affordable, but I think you're getting a very special expression of the grape.
You really are. And I think that, I mean, I've been a Mr. P drinker for a long, long time. It was one of the first Pinot Noirs that I tried, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and I've been drinking it ever since. I really have. It's unbelievable. I love the fact that I love Pinot Noirs as a whole because, number one, as I've said before, it's such a versatile wine to eat, to drink, and to eat food with, which is a big thing in our lives. I love to have a good wine that you can eat a really good steak with, as well as something which is slightly lighter. And I think that certainly has ticked a lot of boxes, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
And it is a difficult grape to understand.
Yeah.
Because we've all alluded to it this evening. When you swirl your glass, it's pale in color.
Yeah.
It doesn't have much body. It's generally got less alcohol. And so
what sort of
you
alcohol
really,
level are we looking at?
normally around 13,
Okay. Yeah.
13 and a half.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really get anything over 13 and a half from the Elgin Valley.
Yeah.
Definitely not at Iona. None of our red wines are over 13 and a
Okay.
half. So then it begs the question, what does it have?
Yes.
It has texture.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the first time I was invited to go with a master of wine to Burgundy. He
Wow.
said to me, Jacqui, if you want to understand Pinot Noir, you have to understand the grape because it's all about texture.
Okay.
And that's where
Interesting.
it's such a great wine with food.
Yeah.
I always say to people, if you're struggling to get to grips with the variety, go out, buy a nice piece of salmon
Yeah.
because the acidity cuts through the fattiness of the salmon.
Yeah.
But it's equally amazing with the pizza. And we're going to
That's
see
it.
that tonight in this dish.
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
it cuts through the fattiness of the cheese.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about bacon and banana, preferably a more savory, charcuterie, mushroom,
Exactly.
cheese, that sort of
But
thing.
do try it with some of the other dishes as well, because I think that it will work very, very well with it as well. But what we have here is something which we decided to play around with. Something that I have sometimes struggled to find wines that work particularly well with, especially red wines. And this is a cheese fondue. The cheese fondue is quite a simple concept, really. It is fond, which is basically melting in French. It's melted cheese. So you'll see inside your pack, you've got this nice little dough pack of a cheese fondue that we've created. Very simple. You use evaporated milk. You add a little bit of white wine, and you let it cook down so the alcohol evaporates a little bit. And then you use cheese to create this lovely cheesy dish. And generally in a cheese fondue originates from the Savoie area in France and in Switzerland. And they use 3 different types of cheeses. They use a Gruyere, they use a Comté, and they use an Emmental. And that is really just about balancing the different flavors of the cheeses and the sharpness and the nuttiness and stuff. But you can really use any cheese. But it's nice to use a cheese that has a little bit of a bite. And you'll see here when you taste this, it does have a certain kind of like bite because we've used some of that nice Gruyere. So as I said to you guys before, you have hopefully got your pots of warm water. You can heat this up in any way you want to. You can either heat it up in a pot. You can pour it out and heat it up. But an easy way to do it is to literally get your boiling water and pop that in there. Get it, I would say, not too hot. I'll get it to about just below boiling. So it's kind of simmering, and that'll just heat it through. If you don't want to do that, you can also just use a microwave, pop it in the microwave. But basically, we want this to be nice and hot. You'll see also that you've got these little pots. So each of these pots will be your little vessel for your cheese fondue. So you can just place that onto that. And then we've got a few different items which we're going to use to kind of zhuzh it up slightly. Onions, caramelized onions, adds a slight sweetness to it. You'll see it balances quite nicely. In this pouch over here, we've got some porcini powder. So mushroom powder. Literally all we've done is you've got dried porcini mushrooms or dried wild mushrooms, which you can get from Pick and Pay. They are dried already. You literally just blitz them up and just creates a nice sort of depth and earthiness to it. And these little fun little dunkers, which are available at Pick and Pay, they are these little mature cheddar cheese dunkers, which you can use for soups, but we thought it'd be quite cool to use that. So while that is heating up, as I said, I think we need to have another little sip of this. Cheers.
Cheers.
So
Cheers,
this
everyone.
is also, in terms of its characteristics, it's got some really nice red fruit notes.
Nice,
It's got a
rich.
nice savouriness to it as well.
Yes, I think there's quite a close proximity to the ocean, and I find that on a lot of our wines, you'll find a slight little bit of salinity.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we like to have good acidity, a little bit of salinity, and then we're going to have the fat, which is going to come in the cheese. We
Good.
spoke about that earlier. You need 3 main components to make really great food all over the world: fat,
Yeah.
salt, and acid.
I agree.
So we're
I
going to
agree.
put down them here.
I totally agree. All right. So we've got our pouch here, and this is nice and warm now. What we will do, there we go. Does it go into the pan in the plastic packet? No, it does not. If you're putting it straight into the pan to heat it up, you don't put the plastic packet on. If it is submerged in the water, then it goes into the plastic packet. So you're just heating it up in the plastic packet. So you'll see this, it's nice and hot. I've put that into the water for about 2 minutes, and it should be nice and warm. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour it out into my 2 little, there we go, into this one and into that. And that's a nice cheesy fondue sauce. There we go, I'll pop that there. Very, very simple. It is just, and as I said, this is just canapé form. You guys can make a larger version of it. You can make more sauce and have people around in these winter months. I must say in Cape Town, we're absolutely freezing here, and this would be a perfect dish. All right, so in this little thing over here, we're going to have a little bit of caramelized onion, and each of these are just going to get a nice little dollop of that caramelized onion in the corner. And while we do that and we get everyone to keep up, I've got a quick question for you. Is Iona on top of the mountain above Saron?
I'm not sure what they mean about
Saron. Me neither.
but it is situated on top of the Kuchelberg, which overlooks the beaches of Claremont. And it's completely surrounded by a natural sort of biosphere, this fynbos, which you find all over Elgin. It's got the largest number of fynbos varieties in the Western Cape. So it's very, very rich natural heritage.
Yeah.
Yes.
But basically,
And it's actually a natural heritage site as well, the Kuchelberg. Yes.
Yeah, you do need to go and visit it because it is amazing. You literally would, if you're driving in Elgin, it is the pass that goes over from Elgin. Is it Valley Road?
So turn right at the Peregrine.
At the Peregrine, yeah.
On the Viljoenhoofs Road.
Okay.
And then further along, you will turn left onto the Highlands Road.
Okay.
And the Highlands Road, the gravel runs out, the tar runs out, and you get up onto a gravel road.
Yes.
And if you go right over the top of that, you'll eventually hit
Claremont.
you'll pop out almost diagonally opposite the Arabella.
Arabella, exactly,
Hotel.
exactly. But it's right at the top of the hill.
Right on the top.
Beautiful hill,
We
beautiful.
get this, we call it the Iona phenomena, where you get this lovely mist that comes over from the sea, and it comes over onto the property every day, and hopefully it lifts round about midday.
Yeah.
But that also gives us this very, very long, extended growing season.
Yeah, which is vital for this wine.
The longer your bunch of grapes hangs on the vine for, the more complexity and layers of flavors that you get.
Got you. Got
So
you.
that's why it's such an ideal site for Pinot Noir. It's the
Perfect.
one grape variety that really shows you where its feet are planted, and it likes a nice cool site.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're the coolest vineyard site in Elgin, and so we're really excited about the quality of Pinot Noir that's coming.
Well,
from
it is fantastic. It really, really is. All right. And so what we've got here, the last little bit and component of this, as I said, this is this porcini dust. You can use any mushroom. Once mushrooms are dried, they've got a really kind of pungent, almost earthiness to it. You can also go and forage your own mushrooms if you'd like in Newlands Forest. I know that there's a lot of good mushrooms out there. There's some good porcinis at the moment. There's also some really nice, what are they called?
Pine rings?
Pine rings, exactly. And I think that if you are going to be foraging any mushrooms, stick to those two varietals.
Yes.
A pine ring, you'll easily be able to know pine ring, because if you cut through the base, it is bright, bright orange. And that is very easy to identify. And if you know that, you're not going to poison yourself.
Yes, just the little outside
Just
part.
the outside, exactly.
Yes.
But if you cut through the bottom stem and you look at it, it's going to be bright, bright orange. And then a porcini, also another thing which is interesting about that is that if you find a mushroom that does not have gills and it does have a sponge under the bottom, you're also okay. You're not going to
Yes.
poison yourself there. So
Yes.
the two things to remember: bright orange and sponge, you're okay. Don't go for anything else. I wouldn't risk it.
And perfect partner for Pinot
And a
Noir.
perfect partner for the Pinot Noir. Okay. So you just take this little bit of the porcini dust and you just give that a little bit over the top, not too much. You literally just want to give it a little bit of a sprinkle, and that'll just give that nice earthy tone to it. All right. And that is really so simple. It really is so simple. You've got 3 ingredients. Obviously the fondue, which is the melted cheese, has got the nice richness. It's got the creaminess. You've also got some of the sweetness and a little bit of the spiciness coming through there. And then obviously with the porcini dust. So I'm going to hand that over there.
Thank you.
What you can do is you can use your little dunker if you'd like to. You just break that up if you want to and dunk that in, or you can use a teaspoon, which I'll just give it a clean there for you.
I'm going
There we
to
go.
use.
Do you want a knife?
I wouldn't mind a knife. I don't
Let me
want
do
it
that for you.
going
Don't even want to go everywhere.
splattering all over the show.
There we go.
Okay, perfect.
Let's just break that up for you.
Okay,
There we go.
okay. Yeah, let's do
It's like a light little rusk. It's perfect for soups. It's a nice little product that Pick and Pay are doing at the moment. It's called a soup dunker. This one is a mature cheddar soup dunker. All right, so give it a bit of a dunk. Same thing. Nice swirl of the wine. Get that down. What are we tasting here? I think that really from a cheesiness, creaminess perspective, it would work well. There's a little bit of a sharpness too. The white wine in the fondue adds a little bit of a sharpness to it. And then you get that quite nice, robust earthiness from the porcini.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I always say that perfect pairings are when I can still taste all the flavors of the dish. I can taste a little bit of that porcini dust, a little bit of the caramelized onion, the cheese, but I'm also tasting all the components of the wine.
Yeah, you
So
don't
I
want to
think when
mask
you can
things.
taste all the components of the wine and all the components of the food, then you've got a match made in heaven. There is one more thing I want to say about Pinot, because I'm a salesperson and I want more people to drink Pinot Noir. It is tricky to understand, but it's got beautiful texture. And when you think about the tannin structure of Pinot Noir, although it's quite focused and it can be quite linear, it's always rounded. It's always a little bit chalky. So it enters the mouth so nicely. And I think that with the lovely sort of bright red cherries, raspberries, strawberries,
Yes.
there's a little bit of a wildness and a savory and an earthiness there in the mushrooms, a little bit of forest floor.
Oh.
But it dances on the palate. And I think it's quite a sensual sort of variety.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I think more people should be drinking Pinot. Serve it slightly chilled, sort of 15, 17 degrees, and great with any food that's got a little bit of fat in it. It's really a marriage made in heaven.
Good.
So
Well,
please all drink more Pinot Noir.
yeah, I mean, that is really what it's all about. And I think that Pick and Pay have done a fantastic job at obviously showcasing a lot of these incredible Pinot Noirs as well. You'll see in your box that you've not only been given some incredible wines, but you've also been offered 100 Rand worth off your next purchase online as well. So just use that. Use the voucher. It's Pinot Noir, Pinot 100, and you'll get 100 Rand off. But not only that, these wines, we're really trying to get you to trying these. All three of these wines are 25% off until the end of the month for you guys as well. So you've been offered that. We really want you to buy a case and try out new things, try out new different dishes, and you'll be so surprised how versatile these wines are. They really, really are. Okay. All right, guys, I think you need to come back. We've got some winners that we need you to announce. As I said, there are 3 winners that are going to be winning 300 Rands worth of Smart Shopper points. And that is for you guys who have taken some incredible photos, asked some really good questions, and you guys are going to be getting 3 as well. So we've got the 3 winners. We are going to read them out over there. Let's just come back. As I said, these guys are getting 300 Rands worth of Smart Shopper points. So we have got number 1,
Siggy Shaw.
Congratulations, Siggy.
Yeah.
300 Rands worth of Smart Shopper points on the way. And we have got
Terence Smuts.
fantastic. Congratulations as well. And
Lastly, Gloria S.
there we go. Keeping things under wraps there, Gloria. Big congratulations, guys, for winning that. And obviously, from my side, I want to thank all 3 of you. It's been an incredible experience standing here, learning more about Pinot Noir, all from the same valley. You're like a little family there, really producing incredible wines, showcasing what South Africa is amazingly known for, especially in that region, and doing an incredible job. So thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, Jacqui. Thank you,
Thanks, Jonathan.
Doc. It's been an incredible.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you very so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And also, while we're on the thank yous, thank you, Pick and Pay, for putting on another really good event. We obviously really value all of your feedback as well. So there is a feedback form that you guys can leave all your comments in below. Find out, let us know what we can do better or anything. We obviously also have live events going ahead. We've got the Pick and Pay Wine Festival happening in Johannesburg on the 5th and the 6th of October. So we'd love you to see you there. But yeah, thank you guys again. Thank you to Pick and Pay. Thank you to Paul Clüver. Thank you to Iona. And thank you to Oak Valley for a very special night.
Thank you.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of the evening.
And make sure you celebrate Pinot Noir Day on the 18th of August. Cheers.
Cheers.